This is Dr. Patricia Jordan from Seaside Natural Health, and I'm going to discuss today about some vaccine issues. Vaccine issues have to be understood that this is based on old technology. We knew back in 1935 from the Pittman-Moore Company that mercury shouldn't even be in vaccinations, and yet they kept them in there all this time. These concepts are based on old ideas and the concepts of a fear of germs. That paradigm is no longer relevant. Always, this was actually a gene theory, not a germ theory. Obsession with hygiene, depravity, and of the immune system. However, the host genetic variations is what determines host response to anything. You have emotional, nutritional, you have toxic insults, pathogenic insults, and what determines how the individual does is his individual coping systems. The immune system that he has, the genes that he has, the nutrition that he's been given, and also what kind of support system they have. So, in general, vaccines weaken the system. They do not strengthen it. Multiple vaccines, multiple antigens given at the same time are particularly bad. Injections will bypass the immune system. The body responds until it annihilates the immune system and causes actually a failure. This is a correct balance for the cytokine and fine-tuning of the T cells. The regulation leads to increase in allergies and autoimmune systems. And this came out of the Journal of Allergy in 1999, 54-398 to 399. We know that there's an IgE class switching that occurs with vaccinations. Even the autoimmune disease you develop is host-specific, and they have research, both in animals and humans, that determines this. Some of the things that we have to worry about with the vaccines is mercury toxicity, which was established in 1935, that mercury wasn't even safe for dog serum, and yet they've continued to put that in the vaccines. It's known to impair DNA repair mechanisms as well as to damage the DNA. Even in low concentrations, it impairs and damages the nervous tissue, leading to neurodegeneration. It impairs energy production by the mitochondrial enzymes. It increases excitotoxicity to the brain, and it impairs the glutamine system as well. There's also synergistic metallurgic actions that take place with the aluminum. Aluminum is a potent carcinogen. It causes oxidative stress. It stays in the muscle, sequesters in the hippocampus of the brain, which is the seat of endocrine regulation. God gave us an immune system. He gave it to the animals as well. He gave fever to burn a virus. He gave vomiting and diarrhea to purge the GI tract and the mucosal tract. Your skin and your mucosal tract on the inside, your GI tract, those are your largest immune organs, and they are our first line of defense. Things like zinc, which is really important for your mucosal immunity. When you don't have enough of the proper nutrients, that's where you have to worry about, shoring up the immune system, not administering a vaccination. The best vaccine against disease is optimal nutrition. Dr. Blake was one of my colleagues. He is wonderful when he made that comment that all you need to live a good life and to grow healthy is clean air, clean water, exercise, sunshine, clean, fresh, organic food, and unconditional love. And he couldn't be more right. We're actually going through all of the things that you do get as far as nutrition out of your air and your water and exercise and sunshine, and we'll be presenting that at a later date. The NIH director, Dr. Shannon, reported that the safest vaccine is the vaccine that's never used. And I have to herald that behind him because there really isn't a good reason for the use of a vaccination. The more I look into this, the more I find that there was never really any reasons to use vaccines in the first place. Dr. Ron Schultz, who has 45 years of experience, 350 peer-reviewed articles. He's an immunologist from Cornell, and now he's at Wisconsin. He's one of only 3 in this entire country that actually studies these vaccines, tests these vaccines, and most importantly, does the challenge studies to follow these vaccines up. So this is why I listen to what he has to say. I've been to over 6 of his just recently in the past 2 years of his seminars to take very careful notes and to take videos and DVDs of him presenting the material, and so I feel very confident that I can back up what I'm saying on this tape. Natural immunity is the very best way to get immunity. However, natural selection in this day, with the immune systems as annihilated as they are, and as dysregulated and out of control and underperforming or completely corrupt. That's why we have a big problem. We've not been testing animals with this type of an immune system. So I don't even know what they can say as far as like, oh, you have to have this vaccine every year, what it's doing to the animal with the corruption that it's received from the other vaccines.
So what we inherit is the ability to develop autoimmunity, and vaccines can trigger in those individuals autoimmune disease. And the vaccines that are most likely to do it are kill adjuvanted, and especially kill adjuvanted bacteria, because they cause such a strong non-specific immunity. They turn on those cells that will destroy your tissues. They destroy you and cause disease, or they destroy the dog. So don't believe by vaccinating your animals are going to develop autoimmunity, but believe by over-vaccinating they could develop autoimmune diseases because they're genetically predisposed. Now, the genetics are very complex for autoimmunity, so it takes multiple factors to trigger it. So not only vaccine, but infection itself, drugs, chemical dyes in foods, a variety of environmental factors can trigger in that susceptible individual that autoimmune disease.
These systems, it's actually the hubris of man that's made it hard to accept that we totally weakened the vitality and the strength and the vital force of every individual. The best animals are those that over 4 generations are raw food fed and non-vaccinated. These are what we call NR breeders. There's a problem with using titers. This is used to quantify something like a vaccine on conveying immunity. The results in the body, they make antibody, and you can actually get antibody production if you were to inject toilet water. So there's nothing special about them saying, okay, this is a vaccine because it produces antibody. Almost anything can do that. And that's not a good enough way to say, okay, that vaccine is actually working to confer immunity, because it's not one and the same. Antibody production is not relevant to guarantee immunity. Immunity is stored in many places, and it's not just in antibody. It's actually on cell surfaces and on different areas inside the body that you wouldn't be able to assess with a titer test. The only tests we have, that's one of the problems with it. And outside of challenge studies, titers are an imperfect way as they are, but they're the standard that we use. If you have to understand that what's lacking in the titer and the overall importance, then you can understand that even though it's the only test that we have, it's not a test that's reflective of the true immune status of the individual patient or animal. Vaccines do not equate to immunity. They are meant to complement acquired immunity. Natural immunity is the very best way to get immunity.